I'm Sabrina Trobak with Trobak Holistic Counselling. Today is going to be my last post with the City of Fort St. John, talking about anxiety and anxiety around COVID. In today's video, what we're going to be talking about is challenging anxiety. For many people, anxiety feels very overwhelming and like this cloud that overcomes them where they feel powerless to it. What we need to do is challenge that anxiety, because if we don't, anxiety generally gets worse. As you've seen from the previous videos, anxiety isn't a cloud that just kind of magically appears. It's something that we create in our own head. Once we use the strategies we've talked about in the previous posts, you can start to challenge your anxiety more and more effectively. One of the things about many things in our life is they generally don't stay the same for a very long period of time. Things are usually either growing or retreating. Anxiety is the same way. If we don't challenge our anxiety, the anxiety becomes more and more and more significant. We need to be able to challenge our anxiety to keep our anxiety under control so that we can manage it better. With anxiety, it's important that we challenge ourselves, but also challenge others. For many of us within our homes, there's someone who has some anxiety where we often kind of tippy-toe around or walk on eggshells because we don't want to challenge their anxiety. But what this does is allows them to continue to struggle in that anxiety, and no one is ever really challenging them to step out of that. Part of why we do that isn't really about their explosion, it's about the anxiety it creates for us thinking about dealing with someone else's anxiety. So challenging someone else's anxiety is good for you because you're challenging your own anxiety, but it's also good for the other person and helps them challenge that anxiety as well. If we don't challenge the anxiety, it's generally just going to get bigger and bigger and become more and more intense. Challenging anxiety is hard. It's scary. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy. So most people don't do it because in the moment, it feels better to just avoid the situation and not deal with it. But when we look at long-term impact, challenging your anxiety has to happen. If we look at someone who's been working or dealing with anxiety for a short period of time, their anxiety is much more manageable. But someone who's been dealing with anxiety for a long period of time, that anxiety becomes more and more impactful and more intense for that person, making it harder and harder to challenge them. When we think about things in our past that we're proud of or we feel good about, it's not usually the easy things. It is the things that were hard and took a lot of effort and were scary, where we had to take a risk and challenge ourselves. So we need to do this with our anxiety as well. One of the significant ways we can challenge our anxiety is to step outside of our comfort zone. We all have this comfort zone around us of things that we feel comfortable doing. General rule of thumb is if we don't challenge that comfort zone and try to expand it and make it bigger, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, meaning our anxiety becomes more and more intense. So we need to step out of that comfort zone. Now, a lot of people jump out of this comfort zone and take giant leaps, and that's too overwhelming and too scary, so they go back into their comfort zone and they stop challenging it. We need to take little steps, piece by piece, on challenging that anxiety. With COVID and things opening up back now, things are starting to open up. We don't want to go jumping out and go back to daily living. We need to slowly expand the things that we're doing and the people that we're seeing so that we feel comfortable and safe, but we're still challenging a little bit and we're becoming more and more confident in our ability to step out of that comfort zone. Make a plan and slowly step out of your comfort zone. And do this consistently, honestly, for the rest of your life. The more you challenge your anxiety, the more confident you are going to feel. If you remember back from one of our first videos, I talked about how anxiety is connected to lack of confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, you're going to have more anxiety. So one of the best ways to become more confident is to challenge your anxiety. Little by little, so it's not too overwhelming and so that you can handle it, but that's what needs to happen. The more we challenge our anxiety, the more confident we are going to feel. It takes courage to do this, but if you start, it becomes easier and easier to do it. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become. I'm Sabrina Trobak with Trobak Holistic Counselling. I'd like to thank everyone who's been watching the videos over the last several weeks, and wish you all the best. This is my final video. Take care and stay safe.